Episode 64.
It's time once again to slip into your camo, grab your gun, and join us out in the field for another episode of the Up North Journal with your host, Mike Adams, and his son, the other Mike Adams. They're locked, loaded, and ready for another exciting episode. So let's step outside and hit the trail.
Hey everybody, we're back. Another exciting action-packed week of the Up North Journal is here. I'd like to remind everybody we are part of the Outdoor Radio Network. And I'd also like to invite you guys to join us over at MichiganHuntingToday.com. It's over at a blog site I write for, but you can also listen to the podcast there. And for those of you who've been listening on My Outdoor Television, I'd like to welcome you guys to the show. And hopefully, if you've been listening now for a while, you can go over to iTunes or to our regular website, upnorthjournal.com, and you can take and listen to, or actually subscribe to the show over there.
Yeah.
What was you going to say?
No, I was just counting how many we have. I think we have 4.
Oh, okay. I seen you holding up 4. I'm like, 4? What are you talking about 4? They want me to stop or something.
No.
So, but yeah, we're in a lot of places. Matter of fact, talking about our website, upnorthjournal.com, that is going to be undergoing a major change here, and it's kind of somewhat already started. It's not going to be all at once, but we have actually started a pro staff here at Up North Journal. And we have, as well as Michael and myself, we've got 3 other members on pro staff here. We've got Kevin Hutchings, who has been on the show before and talked with us. He is going to kind of help me head up the main hunting theme of the show. We're going to cover deer hunting, bear hunting, turkey. If we get a chance to go out to Colorado this year, we'll be covering the elk hunting, predator hunting. Kevin also specializes in reloading, which he's going to be introducing me to here real soon. And we're going to bring that to you on the show. Michael's going to kind of do his own thing.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do. Well,
you kind of do it all. You know, you're kind of the guy that floats in between and talks to the kids back and forth and gives us a fresh perspective on things from a young person's eyes. You know, something that we don't get to see a lot in hunting today. So he's going to cover that aspect of things. As always, that's not going to change. But the things that we're going to add to this, my buddy who's working on the website, Tim Ford, lives here locally, and he is a big avid hunter, but he's also an avid fisherman. And he is going to bring a whole new aspect, hopefully, to the Up North Journal look and theme and everything. You know, we've our logo's got that fish on there, but we don't talk a lot about fishing. We do fish, but we're by no means experts. And Tim does a lot of fishing, so he's going to bring that aspect to us, and we're hoping to get him on the show and start talking about a few things. And, you know, like I said, he's redoing the website for us. And the last but not least to our pro staff is Chuck Parr. As you guys know, last year, we've talked about Chuck on the show quite a bit. And he was a newbie last year, you know, brand new to hunting.
Young gun.
He was the young gun, you know. You don't find many people in their late 20s, early 30s taking up hunting. And Chuck did, and we became really good friends over the course of the last year. We've done a lot together. Matter of fact, we did a lot this weekend. I'm going to bring it up later in the show. But Chuck, he tried deer hunting. He's tried squirrel hunting, rabbit hunting, pretty much all kinds of small game, and waterfowl hunting, and he's an avid fisherman also. But his true passion right now seems to be waterfowl.
Yeah.
So he is going to be our waterfowl guru. Okay, so anything waterfowl, he's going to kind of give us the lowdown on that and head that department up. And actually, I got a big announcement from Chuck coming up later in the show. So make sure you listen later on here, because we got a big announcement coming for the Flint, Michigan area of something that he's working on. So that's new and exciting for the Up North Journal. So make sure you stay tuned to the website by all means, and then that's going to have all the links to all of our other things that we're doing, the blogs and the videos and the TV stuff. It's, I don't know, man, it's getting wild.
Yeah.
So
pretty cool. Everyone has their own little thing, but I'm special. I could be everything.
You're special, all right. I don't know about you sometimes.
I didn't mean that way.
I didn't mean that way either. I just, you know, you're you got your hands into everything, you know. You do the fly tying and the taxidermy. That's two things that none of us other four are really covering. So you've got a unique perspective on that. And, you're almost 14 now, soon to be here in another month and a half, 2 months. And, last year at this time, you bought your first boat at 12 years old. You know, how many 12-year-old kids had actually bought a boat, a boat and trailer and motor? I mean, you've got a couple of unique perspectives on things that you've done and been through and are trying to do. So, it's exciting times here for us, and we've got a lot more coming. I mean, there's a lot of things we've been working on, and we've been explaining a few of those things along the way. But, well, let's just get started into what we did this week, man. It was crazy. We started out Monday and Tuesday. We did our usual bow shoot up at the archery range.
Yeah.
And so Monday, you met one of the young kids up there and kind of hung out and shot quite a bit while us adults just kind of sat back and talked.
I think that was the second week I've actually talked to him.
Yeah.
Isn't it Taylor?
Yeah, you guys hung out up there, and then another guy, Donald, that you've kind of been hanging around with.
Yeah, and I met Taylor's brother, Colin.
Yeah, so we got some young kids up there shooting. And they also do some fly tying up there.
Yeah, actually, met with them today.
Yeah.
Yeah, Donald and his dad. I can't remember his dad's name.
I can't remember right offhand. But they're big into the fly tying as well as archery.
Okay.
And I know you were talking to them today. We were up there today for a tournament shoot, but we'll talk about that a little more here later.
I was kind of more into shooting than that fly tying.
Yeah, today anyway.
Yeah.
And then Thursday was kind of a special day for you. We went to the shop up there to shoot, but we got something in the mail that day. What did we get in the mail?
Oh, Thursday.
Yeah.
We got the Bowtech bows in.
Yep, got the Bowtech bows. We've already got one Bowtech bow, which was the Edge, a smaller version Edge that Gander Mountain loaned us to use for the year. And they also give us that Parker bow to use. And then we got 2 more bows from Bowtech this week. We got a bigger, I take that back. Gander Mountain give us a larger youth model Edge to use for you for the season.
I think it was 40 to 50 pounds.
Yeah, and then we got the Parker buckshot for Mindy that they give us to use for the year. And then we got the bows from Bowtech. They sent us a smaller Edge to use, which was the 30 to 40 pound range. And then you got the Equalizer.
Yeah, the big boy.
Yep. So, yeah, you got him right here, right now, playing with him, man. It's a nice bow, believe me. And I want to give a special shout out to Gene Sands over at Bowtech who hooked these kids up with these 2 bows to use. And actually, we're going to not only let these guys use them, but we're going to let other kids shoot them as well. It's going to be something that we're going to put through multiple hands to get some good feedback on this, so you, the listeners, can actually make informed decisions about what youth bow you might want to put your child in.
Well, actually, this really isn't a youth bow, but I'm not sure if anyone else can pull this one back.
Well, some of the larger kids can, and what this Equalizer is, it's actually up in their adult line, but it's a small frame bow. It's for small frame people, which would be really good for larger youth, big framed youth.
It's 40 to 60, I think.
This one's 40 to 50. So, it can really lend itself towards the bigger type youths. You're talking 13, 14, 15, 16-year-old kids who aren't really ready for an adult-sized bow just yet.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, man, it's a nice bow, and I know you're going to cover more of this in the game bag here coming up. So, I don't want to cut everything short here, so let's kind of move on a little bit. One of the other things we did this weekend is we shot that tournament today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, we just kind of got back from that, but we went and shot it was a tic-tac-toe bracket shoot.
Yeah.
Up at the archery range today, and that was a hoot. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Didn't have quite as good a turnout as what we had hoped, but we got to meet some new guys up there and hang out and talk and just kind of shoot the bull, so to speak, with each other. And talked a lot of archery, talked about setups and things like that. One guy was having a little bit of trouble with a new bow that he had, and we're trying to get that set up. So, and speaking of trouble, you actually had some trouble with your bow today.
Yeah, the edge that I've been shooting, the one that we got from Gander Mountain, I've been shooting it at 20 yards, and I'm fine at 20 yards. I've almost got sighted on it, actually. And at 10 yards, I have to shoot 3 inches low, and at 15, I'm like high and to the right.
Yeah.
When I shoot.
Well, that's the way the shoot was set up today. They set it up at 15 yards.
Yeah.
I guess to try to throw people off, because everybody always sights in their bows usually at 20 yards.
Yeah.
So it makes you want to have to compensate a little bit for your shooting style. But yeah, you were having problems. I mean, not as well as your up and down. You were also left to right. You had some problems. So I don't know if that was a result of torquing the bow or what. I know we got some things we got to work out. We really got to look at your mechanics and figure out some things. But, something that one of the guys at the range pointed out that it might be is the fact that he's noticed in the last 2 to 3 months since we've been shooting there that you've grown. And he says you've grown another inch or two. And your body structure has maybe changed in such a way that it's really starting to throw your mechanics off. And we got to start to look at that, maybe your sights or what have you. So, that's one thing we need to really look at with these bows as far as these youth bows that we're going to do in the review is that's the thing, is how easy are they to change and adapt to your kid as they grow. So something we got to look at. So, hey, you know what? We're getting a little late here in the first segment of the show. Let's take a quick break, and then when we come back, let's talk. We'll wrap up the archery stuff here, and then we'll talk about what we did Saturday, because that was a big day for us as well. Okay, let's step outside real quick. We'll be right back after this quick break.
If you're looking for the best in outdoor hunting and fishing podcasts, look no further than the Outdoor Radio Network. Each week we have dozens of podcasts devoted to outdoor sports, with shows like On the Water with Bob Murray, Bass Champ Journal, Surf and Shore Fishing, just to name a few. Check out all outdoor podcasts on the OutdoorRadioNetwork.com.
Welcome back. And we went to break there. We were talking about that archery shoot that we did, and it was like we had mentioned before. It was a bracket style shooting thing, and it was best 2 out of 3, and you moved on. And I was fortunate enough to move into the final round, and actually won the tournament. So that was pretty cool. And
especially after all the trouble you had this morning shooting.
Yeah, I went out to warm up this morning out here in the front yard just to loosen up before I went to the shoot, and all of a sudden, every shot that I took was 4 inches to the left, and I actually lost an arrow. And I'm like, what's happened, man? You talking about a confidence buster. All of a sudden, you break out your bow that's been dead on for over a year, and the first shot you take is 4 inches left, and then you keep shooting, and they're all 4 inches left. And I'm like, what is wrong with my mechanics? And then all of a sudden I'm second-guessing what I'm doing. And I finally just had to say, whoa, stop. Let's just make a sight adjustment and get you back on. And I did that. And after that, it was fine. So somewhere along the way, my bow got bumped since the last time I shot, 3 or 4 days, or Thursday, actually, at the range. It either got bumped when I put it in the car or moving it back into the house, or it got knocked over in the case or something. But yeah, it really busted my confidence going into that shoot. So when I got there, they said, allowed us to warm up. I took one shot and it was dead on. I said, I'm ready. At that point I wasn't going to shoot anymore until we started shooting tournament. And it went really well. The first guy I shot against, unfortunately for him, was the guy who struggled with his setup. He had a new bow that he'd just been practicing with and just started shooting. And we helped get him some of his stuff worked out afterwards. Actually, one of the guys there had an extra sight that he helped put on the bow for him and got him dialed in.
Wasn't that Randy that gave it to him?
I think so. I'm not sure, but one of the guys there on pro staff at the range gave it to him and helped him out. We all kind of guided him down how to sight the bow in and all that stuff once he put that new rest on. And then the second guy I shot against in the second round was one of the best shooters there. And for whatever, that was Tony. For whatever reason, he missed a couple of shots, and which opened the door for me. And it was I really didn't expect to go any further in the second round because I knew I was watching him shoot in the first round and even during warm-ups, and he's a heck of a shooter. I was like, well, okay, here's the end of this. So, yeah. But for whatever reason, he missed a couple shots and it opened the door. And then the last round, it just worked out that I won that round also. So it was a good time. It was a fun time, and it wasn't about winning or losing. It was about hanging out with some guys, and that was the funnest part. Was sitting there on the range, and three other guys besides yourself. You got 4 guys lined up, and we're all shooting at the same time, and then you got 4 guys behind you waiting. It was everybody take a shot, and the next person to shoot, the next person. I mean, it was pretty cool. And then you had the guys kind of hanging back in the back watching. I mean, there was a lot of people there. Yeah. So it was a fun time because it was just a great crowd, and everybody was excited and revved up and ready to shoot, and that's the best part of it. So, and speaking of the range we shoot at, I know you guys are listening to the podcast all over the world, but for you guys who live here in the mid-Michigan area, specifically in the Flint, Michigan area, if you're looking for a place to shoot, an indoor archery range, more specifically a 3D range as well, Compass Outdoors. Go to their website, compassoutdoors.org, and check out the range. And it's got a map on there, phone numbers and contact information and all that. The great group of guys to work with and a great group of guys to hang out and shoot with. And they would be more than happy to have you guys come over and shoot with them on a Monday or Thursday night. It's a lot of fun. So give their website a look at, and if you've got the time, come on over and hang out with us and do some shooting. So, but that was our thing today. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, you kicked out first round.
Well, you had some problems with your sights and problems with
your
mechanics.
Yeah, I went up against Randy too.
Yeah, he smoked you.
Yeah.
Well, it's a learning experience. You might get into a competition later on, and you might use something from this one to relate to.
Yeah.
You can always use an experience, whether it be good or bad, as something to key off of to use later on. Always use your experiences in hunting and in life. Keep them filed for a later use. You never know what you might take out of it to use later in life.
Yeah, but they had a thing for the guys that got eliminated.
Yeah?
I can't remember what they called it.
Oh, it was the...
Start with the C.
The consolation round.
Yeah, but Matt called it the losers round.
Yeah, and you were the biggest loser.
I was the biggest loser because he went. I was last one in the lineup on the tables. He switched around and he goes, "You're the number 1 loser."
Yep.
Yeah.
So you kind of got tagged with that nickname. So, but yeah, it was a lot of fun, man. We had a lot of fun. It was a hoot today, and we actually videotaped it. So I'm hoping to put a little bit of that up on the internet here soon too. I got a ton of video that I've got to get edited and get on the internet. Speaking of video, we shot a ton of video yesterday, and I want to get into this really quick before we have to take our next break. But we talked about this upcoming event that we attended yesterday. It was a goose banding event down at Point Mouillet, which is down south of Detroit, Michigan. That marsh down there is the biggest restoration of any marsh, the biggest restoration project in the United States. The place is over 4,000 acres. They've got ducks and geese and all kinds of other birds. And basically the DNR invited a group of us guys to come down and help them capture and band geese. And we're talking wild geese. It was really cool. We went down there early in the morning. Me, Michael went with us, and Jacob went with us, and our new pro staff member, Chuck Parr, he went down with us. And the 4 of us...
You went with us?
And I went with... Well, that's included. That's assumed that I went, seeing how I'm talking about it, ding-a-ling. So, but it was a good time, man. We had to get up early. I got up at 3:45 in the morning to make the trip down there. And we got down there at 6 in the morning, and we went out with the DNR and some biologists and a bunch of volunteers. There was, probably 20 to 30 of us out there?
About 25.
Yeah, it was a lot of guys got out early in the morning and we captured geese. We banded 185 geese that day. And it was just awesome. It's the first time I'd ever been that close to a live goose without trying to shoot it.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. And they basically went out in 4 boats, 4 kayaks, pushed these geese towards shore, and they had this big pen set up in the shape of a V. And on the dike system, we had guys lined up on both sides so they would actually funnel towards the middle. And when they got into that gate system, they closed the back of it off and trapped them inside this gate. And then they proceeded to pick them up and hand them to everybody, and everybody walked them over, and the guys were banding them as they were passing them off. It was quite the sight.
Pretty cool.
It was. How many did you wind up getting a hold of?
I think I got a hold of 8 or 9.
Yeah, and Jake got 8 or 9. I know Chuck did too.
Yeah, it was funny. Jacob got a hold of a big one.
Yeah, it was a full-grown adult.
Yeah, it was a full-grown adult, and it was one of the ones that was hissing and flapping at the guy.
Yeah.
And Jacob goes, "Did I get a big one?" And I'm like, "No, you got a baby one."
Yeah, you didn't want him to get scared.
Yeah.
The thing was as big as he was.
Yeah.
It was a hoot. But
A honk.
A honk. That was a honk.
Yeah.
But I got 3. I kind of stood back and videotaped the whole thing.
Yeah.
And there at the last, on the second group that we captured.
Yeah, I took the camera, so go get some.
You said, "Yeah, I'll take the camera. Yeah, go get some geese," And so, yeah, I took part in it, too. It was pretty cool. And actually got to band some. They let us band them.
Yeah.
I banded two geese. I've never, like I said, I've never had any part of anything like that. But it's very educational. They took DNA samples, swab samples from them, and they checked the sex of the geese, and then they banded them, wrote the numbers down, took all their documentation, turned them loose. So it was, we were there from 6 o'clock till about 12 and banded 185 geese. And little Jake had quite a scare.
Oh, yeah.
After we captured the first group, they're dirty. They got mud and water on them. Old Jake's got his hands a little muddy, and he wanted to wash them off. And we
were at like a old dump or something.
It was an old dumping ground for the city of Detroit there in the marsh, but they've cleaned it up and backfilled it, and they did this big restoration project there, trying to clean the place up. And it was actually almost like a bog. You walk on, you can feel the ground kind of shake and move. And Jake wanted to go wash his hands, so he walked over towards the water to wash his hands, not even knowing what he was standing on. All of a sudden, we turn around, and he's up to over his knees in muck. And he wanted to cry, but he didn't. He just looked at us like, "Get me out of here." You could just see the fear in his face. And 3 of us got stuck getting him out. We had to, kind of pull each other out in succession to get each other out, to get him out. So it was scary for him. It kind of scared me there for a second. I knew we'd get him out, but, it's just one of them things. It's a learning experience that hopefully he will remember for the rest of his life, especially if he's hunting by himself in a marsh and things of what to do and what not to do. And you get into a situation like that, it could be deadly. It really could. So you got to remember those things when we're out hunting in marshes and bogs and things like that. So, what did you think about the whole event yesterday?
I actually thought it was pretty cool, like getting it up close and personal with geese and stuff.
Well, for the people who don't know about the waterfowl and are familiar with it, tell them how we were able to capture them without them flying away.
Without them flying away, right? Now they've been molting, and when they molt, they lose their flying feathers, which is on the bottom part of their wing.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not able to fly away, and actually the first group actually got away, and they couldn't fly away, and they were just kind of waddling in the water.
Yeah, they kind of swam away real quick and got away from the boats. But actually there was a couple geese that did fly, and he explained that.
Yeah, he said that the ones that were flying away was last year's babies, I think.
Yeah, they were born late in season.
Yeah,
they're
juvenile bachelors or something.
Yep, and they actually were still able to fly at that point.
Yeah. They
haven't molted yet or hadn't went through that process. And speaking of, the DNR that headed this up was Joe Robeson, and he's a wildlife biologist with the Southeastern Management Unit of the Michigan DNR at Point Mouillet State Game Area. And we actually got some good information from him on an interview here. So let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back And we've got that interview, and we'll bring that to you, and you can listen to some of the things he had to say about it. So let's take a quick step outside, and we'll be right back after this.
If you're looking for the best in outdoor hunting and fishing podcasts, look no further than the Outdoor Radio Network. Each week we have dozens of podcasts devoted to outdoor sports, with shows like On the Water with Bob Murray, Bass Champ Journal, Surf and Shore Fishing, just to name a few. Check out all outdoor podcasts on the OutdoorRadioNetwork.com.
Welcome back, everybody. And right before we went to break, we talked about the interview with Joe Robeson, the Michigan wildlife biologist with the Michigan DNR. And he had some really informative things that he talked about, especially why they banned and some of the things they get out of it and how they use that to set some of the seasons and reasons we should turn in our bands if we happen to shoot a waterfowl that has a leg band on it or a neck band. Why we should turn those in, because some people don't. They're afraid that it actually might cut down on the number of geese that they can shoot the next year. So with that being said, let's listen to what we shot out in the field yesterday with Joe Robeson.
When they shoot a goose that's got a band on it, don't report it, because if you report it, it's going to cut down their season for the following year. Well, if you don't report them, we're going to end up like the Atlantic Flyway, where you don't get to hunt geese for 7 years. So It's best to report your birds right away, and that just gives us, you might have to have a reduced season for the next couple of years, but you're not going to have a complete shutdown like Maryland. That band study was to get a better reporting rate on actually, we put on 100 bands, how many people are really reporting? Well, you're assuming you're going to get money for it, you're going to get a 100% response rate, and that gives you a reporting rate of 60%, 70%. It was 70% the first year. It was like 60% the second year, and it was like 80% the third year.
Oh. So do you consider that successful?
Yeah.
Good.
And plus it was successful for some guys that put $100 or $50 or $20 or $10 in their pocket.
Yeah.
They do the same thing on ducks every 10 or 15 years.
10 or 15 years.
Yeah, the reason they did, Ohio just did a black duck study. They put reward bands on. Reward bands were put on the mallards in Ontario, wood ducks in Ohio. I shot a mallard from Ontario, a black duck from Ontario, and a wood duck from Ohio, all $100.
Nice.
Is that usually the highest they go is $100?
Yeah. And the reason they went to that is because of the 1-800 number. It used to be you'd call, you could never call, you could call it in. That wasn't a toll-free number, or they went to reporting online and a toll-free number. Before, you'd have to send in a postcard, and they'd send you information back. So they went to a new reporting system, so they wanted to get a better idea of what that reporting system is doing for them as far as reporting rate. So the band recoveries are very important in managing waterfowl. It gives us an idea if we're putting too much harvest on, especially Great Lake mallard. If we're shooting too many mallards and reducing the population, if it's harvest or if it's habitat related, we need to answer those questions. Neck collars, we did that for when we first started all these special seasons, like the late season, the early season. We had a full-time observer go around from August, September, October, November, December, January, February, and they would record locations and the number of neck collars they'd see. And then we did that for probably about 20 years. We put net colors on just to study the migration, the timing of the migration, where they're going. And our special, like our early season, we have to shoot 90% local giants.
Really? Right ahead?
Scope.
Yeah.
We have to shoot 90% giants in our early goose season. Our regular goose season is a mixture of MVP, Southern James Bay, tallgrass prairie, and giants, but we still shoot a large proportion of giants in that season. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service only allows us so many days to hunt, and so many, like the MVP, we're only allowed 18% of that harvest allocation. U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service says, all right, Mississippi Flyway, you guys are allowed to shoot 80,000 MVP birds this year. Well, how do you tell the difference between MVP and Southern James Bay? It's their breeding location and their bands. I mean, basically MVP comes from James Bay, southern James Bay, Agamsky Island, that area, southern James Bay birds, and they differentiate the flock that way. And when they come through based on band recoveries, the west side of Michigan and down here southeast Michigan, we shoot southern James Bay, and the other UP and northern lower and southwest shoot MVP birds. We've been managing that way for probably about 15 years now. We're trying to get the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service to change the strategy where we can do goose zones based on, coincide with our duck zones. We're going to try to get a UP goose zone, a northern lower goose zone, and a southern goose zone, so we can have better flexibility in our goose zones, because right now our hands are tied. When they tell us, that U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service tells us you can only shoot 18% of the harvest allocation of MVP birds. So we got to look at, all right, our timing when you got 60,000 waterfowl hunters out there. You know, in southern Michigan, most of your hunters are in southern Michigan. They're out there on opening day of duck season, and it doesn't matter if a goose is 20 yards or 500 yards, they're shooting at them. You guys know that on opening day. So your highest harvest rates come your first week, and you have migrants there. So all of a sudden, the first 10 days, you're shooting your 20,000 birds that they told you could shoot. So that's why we open the season. We try to coincide a little bit of duck and goose, and then towards the end, when some more migrants leave, and then that December season, the majority of it's giants that we're shooting from, the surrounding Great Lakes area. And then as far as the late season goes, we're allowed 30 days. It can start anywhere Saturday close to December 30th. It can run for 30 days and all the way up to February 7th, I believe, is the latest time we can go. And last year we increased the bag back to 5. This year we propose the early seasons go to 5. They allow that special season, and 90% of that has to be giant Canada harvest. So we have to show through band recoveries that we're shooting 90% of what we're shooting these local giants. So it's important for us to band, and you guys turn them in. Even if it's an MVP bird, it's important you turn them in. I just got reports yesterday at James Bay, Agamsky Island. They had a little bit better reproduction than they had last year, but MVP was probably the lowest in 10 years that I've seen it. Lowest count that they've had. That's all preliminary, but MVP doesn't look very good. It goes down to like 118,000 from 300,000. They had poor nesting conditions up there. It was late when they backed off the surveys from 2 weeks from the normal time frame when they do them, because everything was still frozen. There's still ice everywhere up there, and there's still snow on the ground. So it was bad nesting conditions this year.
What tarsals?
Tarsal bands, Michigan's never put any of those in. And net collars, we were putting on net collars with radio transmitters when we did that molt migration study back in, that was like 98, 99, 2000, 2001. Does everybody know what a molt migration is? No? A molt migration is where Canada geese really don't reach sexual maturity until they're 3 years of age. So they don't start breeding, don't start bringing offspring until they're 3 years old. Like those flyers we saw, those little groups, those are bachelor groups. Like over Memorial Weekend when you saw the large groups of geese flying north, those are called molt migrants. Those are the bachelor groups, sub-adults, 2 years or younger, that are non-successful breeders, or they could be unsuccessful breeders that attempted to breed on a nest and their nest was destroyed by predation or whatever. They don't re-nest. They take off and go up to Agamsky Island, James Bay, all the way up to, I'm trying to think of the farthest point, Cape Henrietta. They've gone all the way up there. We put radio transmitters in them, and we follow them all the way up there. And they usually leave the last week of May, first week of June, and then they return about September 8th through the 1st of October. That's why we had, when our population, our local giant Canada goose population in Michigan was reaching 325,000 birds, that's when we started targeting, when we restructured our regular goose season to open up the day after the early goose season to try to hit some of those molt migrants and try to set back the population. But through a series of years of doing that, and a bag limit of 5 in the early season and a bag limit of 5 in the late season, we accomplished that. So we went back to a regular structure, regular goose season a couple of years ago, and we reduced our early season bag and our late season bag to 3. Now, the last couple of years, we've gradually seen our population increase, so we're going to go back to, we proposed going back to 5 in the early and 5 in the late. But that molt migration study, opened a lot of eyes to various states, and a lot of unknowns about where the sub-adults went and where they spent their summers, and the importance of the timing of your seasons if you're trying to target your local giant Canada geese. That was another point when you look at Oakland and Wayne County and in parts of Macomb County where we do the egg shaking program. Well, those areas you can't hunt. That was one thing that we tried making sure of. Those townships that we allow to shake eggs, you cannot hunt in those townships. Well, those birds just sit there all year. They never leave. So if you destroy their nest at a halfway through their incubation cycle or before, they're gonna leave. They're not gonna re-nest. So that gives us hunters an opportunity when they leave and they go partake in a molt migration on their way back. There's a lot of miles in between where they're nesting and coming back to be shot at. So that's the same thing with translocation. We translocate geese. We're taking like 5,200 down to Kentucky this year. We'll get a shipment of 700, 800 throughout Monroe County. They get shipments in South Central, Southwest, all over southern Michigan. We try to take the birds to game areas where they're vulnerable to people to shoot them. That's what we want to see. But there's some, we can't take, last year we moved about 7,600. There's no way we can move 7,600 birds within state somewhere without having problems.
Those birds are from non-hunting areas.
Yes. That's the important thing. They're from non-hunting areas. Yeah, like I got a call the other day, Ford Museum in downtown Grand Rapids. They're pooping in their water fountain. You're never going to be able to hunt those birds. So let them round them up, take them to Muskegon State Game Area, and hopefully hunters can shoot them.
So that was an interview with Mr. Robeson. Like I said, it was a very informative day. I had a lot of fun. I was tired. I guess that's the biggest thing, is I was flat wore out afterwards. Yeah. And I really didn't do a whole lot, but just being out in the field all day and doing a lot of walking. And I can't imagine the guy in the pen who handled all the birds. I just remember his name was Mike, an older gentleman who
was all cut up.
Them birds beat him up bad. He had mud and blood and all kinds of stuff on him. So
poop. Yeah,
and poop and you name it.
It was.
It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I really thought that it was going to be real messy and nasty and dirty, but for the most part, it wasn't bad. So, anything else you'd like to add to it?
I'd like to thank Mr. Robeson for letting us come down and learned a lot of stuff and how geese migrate and stuff like that. Yeah,
it was really cool, and it was a privilege to be able to take part in that and be able to go down and work with the DNR. I know not everybody gets to do that, and like I said, it was a privilege for us to be able to take part in that. So I'd like to extend my gratitude also and tell you guys thank you, and hopefully next year we can be a part of it also, because it was a lot of fun. If you ever get the opportunity to do something like this for any type of wildlife, by all means take part in it, because you know what? You will get so much out of it, and not only that, it helps give back to the resource. We always take from the resource, but not everybody gives back. If you get the opportunity, give back, because if you don't, sooner or later, if not enough of us give back to the resource, there's not going to be anything there for anybody else. So, but that was our Saturday, man. It was pretty packed. It was a long day, and the whole weekend, it was just go. But that's what it's like here at the Up North Journal for us, man. We hit it hard as often as we can. So
actually, you skipped something.
What's that?
Your new boat.
Yeah. Well, you know what? We'll bring that up at the end of the show. You remind me again. We'll talk more about that at the end of the show. I got me a new addition to the family, I called it. So, but I know usually coming out of that last break, we always do your favorite part of the show.
The best part of the show.
So with that being said, take it off to Mikey's game bag.
Oh, we're going to do it right now?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, best part of the show, Mikey's game bag. Okay, this week on Mikey's Game Bag, I'm going to be talking more about the bows that I have been shooting and the bow that I was shooting. The one that I was shooting was an old Browning, I think it was.
Older model Browning, traditional style compound.
That we now have passed along to Chuck.
Chuck now has that, and we're making an archer out of Chuck.
Yeah, but some things that I really didn't like about that bow was that it was a lot heavier than the bows that there is right now.
You mean the actual weight?
Yeah, the actual weight.
Feeling of it?
I thought that it was more bulkier and not as compact as the ones I've been shooting. And just there was just a different feel to it than the ones not as higher end technology and stuff like that.
You mean maybe not as smooth?
Not as smooth, or not that much of a back to it.
Maybe not as quiet?
Yeah.
Okay, wasn't as firm as a feel? Okay.
But the ones I've been shooting now, I just absolutely love.
Yeah, technology is a wonderful thing.
I know. They're just so different.
Well, which one do you want to talk about first?
I'll talk about the Edge first, since that's one I've been shooting.
Now, this is the one that Ken Morrison from the Lansing Gander Mountain actually hooked us up with to use for the season.
Okay, this one is a Diamond Edge, Diamond by Bowtech. And actually, this thing's cranked all the way down, and I don't know why. On the Browning, I was shooting 27 draw length, and they put me at 26 for this.
Well, it may have been because that bow for whatever reason, it may have been set up just a little bit different. Like you say, new technology. I really don't know why, but they measured you over at Gander Mountain that night when they set these bows up for you, and that's where they put you at. So
yeah, and they set this one at 38 pounds or 39 pounds because they said they wanted me to get used to it, which I pretty much have, but I really don't want to crank it up.
Yeah,
my arm's been hurting.
Yeah. You've been doing a lot of shooting this week. Now this one actually shoots from 40 to 50 pound range, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
This one does.
And what camo pattern's on that?
Actually, I've been looking at it, and I think it is mossy oak.
Okay.
I can't find a sticker yet, but
can't find the logo stamp on it anywhere.
I figure out. I think it's underneath the sight or something.
Okay.
But I know it is mossy oak.
Okay.
But that one's a real tree, the new one.
Now this one that you got the edge, that's a 2-cam bow.
Yes, this one's 2-cam, and it came with a quiver on it, a sight, cheap little Cobra sight. I mean, it's a good sight, but
it's just not one of the top of the line sights. It's more built for the youth model bows.
Yeah. And it came with hostage rest.
The hostage capture type rest. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like a whisker biscuit, but it's not fully enclosed. It has 3 little parts to it.
Okay, well explain to the people why that one's a little different.
This one's a little different because when you put your arrow in, the nock is facing side to side. Like the nock, there's 2 parallel sides to it that goes on the string, and there's 3 fletchings, and they're 1 on top and 2 on the bottom, so it's kind of like a peace sign.
Okay, well, actually, with the capture style rest, as well as the whisker biscuit, as well as this hostage, the odd feather or cock feather actually points up instead of to the open side of the rest, like you would normally.
Yeah.
But with a capture style rest, the cock feather actually goes upwards.
Yeah, and the hostage is different because it's just 3 little things. Like if you take a peace sign and flip it upside down, that's what it looks like.
They look like little toothbrushes in there.
Yeah.
It's a 3 little brush system that allows those veins or fletchings to pass through without actually getting grabbed by the bristles.
Yeah. It's slowing down. The first thing I thought of this is you can actually use quick spins in them.
Yep, where you can't in the whisker biscuit because it'll tear them off. Because the whisker biscuit actually brushes all the way around. It's a concentric circle of brushes with a hole in the center. So you can't use quick spins like Mike said.
Yeah.
With this one you can.
And this one, with the youth package, it came with the quiver. I like the way it's set up because of how compact it is to the side, but it's got this weird little thing. You have to push it in really far for them to stay in.
Yeah, the quiver is actually got a 2-position system on it to capture the shaft of the arrow when you lock it in the quiver. One is for a thick shaft arrow and one's for a thin shaft arrow.
But for mine, I have to push them in halfway to the thin shaft.
Yeah, you got to push them all the way in.
Because mine are like an odd size.
Yeah. So, okay, well, that's the edge. You like that one?
Yeah, it's smooth shooting. It's got relatively a nice back to it. Like it stays rock steady for a little bit.
Okay, there's no give in the back wall on it.
No.
Okay. Now, we actually haven't done any adjustment to this yet, so I don't...
Except for the sight, we moved the green pin for 20.
Right, but as far as the draw length and the poundage, that was already preset for us when we got it.
Yeah, I know, it's good.
We're going to go over more in that when we start doing the youth reviews and cover that, especially from a parent standpoint of what to expect and how hard these are to change and the actual parameters of how far you can adjust these things. But... yeah, this edge is a really nice compact bow for a youth that is plenty strong enough to take game. And I tell you, my first impression of it, when you first shot this, I was amazed at the speed this thing threw downrange for a small compact youth bow. That's set at 38 pounds. I mean, the arrows flat out move out of these bows. Kevin Hutchings, we have taught his daughter shooting the Parker bow, the Parker buckshot. She's been using that this last week. Or 2 weeks, the one that Gander Mountain set up for us. And he said the same thing. He's just amazed at the speed that's coming out of these small youth frame bows. And we had actually set 35 pounds as our ethical weight before we put the kids into the field this year to hunt big game.
Oh, that's what you want them to be at?
That's what we want them to be at. But, you know, now that we've started seeing the speed coming out of these bows, we haven't put a chronograph on them yet, and we're going to do that. Once we're going to get one here in the next couple of weeks when we do our broadhead field study and range study on those. We're gonna run these through a chronograph and see what kind of speeds are coming off these things. And we're actually thinking that 35 pounds, we might actually be able to lower our standard just a little, maybe to 30, 32 pounds, possibly. You know, and some people say, well, you know, I mean, that's too low to take a deer. But I'm telling you what, if you haven't seen these bows, these new style bows shoot, you might change your mind. I'm not saying we will change your mind. I'm saying we're thinking about it, and we're gonna do some checking to see what kind of speeds are coming off these bows, as compared to, let's say, the PSE Spider and Outlaw that you kids were using when you were younger, which my two middle kids are using right now. So
them are dead slow compared to these.
Well, yeah, but I mean, obviously the poundages aren't where they are with these, but we're going to set those in equal poundage compared to these and see what kind of speed difference there is, and actually see how if there's any change in moving those arrows down range at a faster speed. So, but now what's the barrel you got in your hand there now?
Oh, the equalizer. I just noticed if you put it on its side, it has an M for Mike.
Oh, okay. You think so? Yeah. Huh? The way it's shaped. Yeah, I'm sure they took that into consideration when they designed it for you. So, okay, what about the equalizer now?
Equalizer came with just the rest on it. It came with the Hostage Pro, which is because I'm pro, you know.
Yeah, right.
But
you're
no.
dreaming.
No, it has more adjustments, so you can put it up and down and side to side. I think that one just moves back and forth, I think.
Okay, yeah. Now, but also the brushes on this one.
These ones are thinner, and you can move them in and out for different size arrows.
Right.
And that one's set at larger arrows, which I think that might actually be why my arrows are going up and down, kind of.
Yeah, you're having some problems. There may be some slop in that for you, and if that's the case, now on the regular hostage rest, you can take these brushes out and actually interchange them.
Yeah, with different size ones.
So you can. I would imagine they offer the tighter package for the different shaft size on the different arrows, but that one's set up for what you shoot right now.
Yeah.
You know, the actual thin diameter shafts.
That hostage, the regular hostage, I think retails around 50 or 60.
Mm-hmm.
And the Hostage Pro retails about 70 or 80.
Doesn't okay. I haven't even checked, so I really don't know. Now,
I saw them at the booth there in Lansing.
Oh, at the show? Okay. Now, you actually shot this bow a few times.
Yeah, I shot it without sights at like 10 yards, I think, 10 or 15 yards.
Okay, and out of the box, what did we determine the poundage was at on this?
53.
53 pounds, okay. Were you able to pull it?
Yes, actually I was able to pull it pretty easy, but after about 10 shots my arms started hurting.
Okay.
So I'm thinking about craning it down to 50 and see.
Okay, and you'd actually told me that this one here, the edge was at 38, needed to be cranked up, so you're probably in that 45, 46 pound range right now, but you could pull the 52, 53 back.
Actually, I pulled your Hoyt back today.
Yeah, he did. He shot my Hoyt today and at 56 pounds and fell in love with it, but realized that it was too much for him.
Yeah, after shooting 3, my arms started hurting.
But now I'll tell you what. Now you shot the equalizer here that day. You shot about 10, 15 times at the range. What did you think about that one compared to shooting the Edge? I mean, they're the same manufacturer, but what was the difference between the two?
A lot faster and a lot quieter.
A lot quieter, okay. Well, a lot faster probably is because you're shooting 53 pounds versus 38. What'd you think about the back wall on that one?
Back wall is solid as a rock.
Okay.
When you pull it back, you can actually kind of let go like an inch or two, and it will still stay there.
Okay, so there's a little give, give in the back, but forward.
Yeah, you can push it a little bit forward, and it will.
It still holds.
Yeah.
See, I can pull this edge now, and I can actually, once I hit the back wall, I can move it just a little bit, but the equalizer, when I pulled it back, it's got a stop on it. Actually, it actually has a stop on the cam that stops it on the frame. So that I think that really leads to the fact of it being rock solid on the backside.
Yeah.
And quiet, it's quiet. Yeah, I was really amazed when you were shooting at the range the other day with it. When you shot, there was a difference in night and day against the other kid who was shooting. I don't even remember what he was shooting, what bow he was shooting, but
Taylor?
I don't remember even which kid it was, but I know one of them was shooting, and the difference in the noise was night and day. It was just, that bow is so quiet. So, but what did you think about shooting this compared to the Hoyt when you shot it?
The Hoyt, I really don't think the Hoyt has as much of a back wall to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's more parallel and kind of a little bit lighter than your Hoyt.
This one is? Well, yeah. It's a smaller frame bow. by not quite a bit, but I mean it's made for a small frame youth, not a small frame youth, but a small frame adult or a large youth. So I shot it, a handful of times. I like it. It's it fit me well. It could very easily be cranked up into my poundage range.
My bow.
And I could definitely shoot this bow. Matter of fact, it fits my hand pretty well right now, Mike. Here, take this edge. Take the edge back here. Let me try this.
No, there's nothing really that bad about the edge. I still like it.
No, there isn't. There's not a thing wrong with it. And the thing we found with even the Parker buckshot. Sorry about that little jolt there. I'm pulling the bows back right now and sizing them up. But even the Parker buckshot, all these bows are quite capable of taking game, for youth. It's just, the fine-tune adjustments is what we're looking at. We're looking at how much flexibility are going to be in these bows for kids to grow into them. And, so you, the listeners, can make informed decisions when you are thinking about purchasing a bow for your youth to get them out in the field or on the range. And actually, I've had about 4 different emails in the last week saying, hurry up and start the youth bow review. I'm getting ready to buy a bow for my youth, and I'm very excited about listening to what you guys have got to say about these bows. So that's one thing that we're looking forward to, is we're getting a lot of feedback from listeners right now who are encouraged and excited and getting ready to actually put some bows in some kids' hands. And that's the key. Getting these kids out at a young age, getting them involved, and getting them excited about shooting, and getting something in their hands that can actually do the job and give them some confidence to where they stay encouraged and excited about being out in the field or on the range. And that's what we're all about here at the Up North Journal, is getting these kids excited and getting them out in the field. And we're going to do anything and everything we can to try to accomplish that for you guys. So,
something I forgot to talk about on the equalizer is that Newton Velvet.
I was wondering if you were going to mention that. This is an innovation that I have absolutely fallen in love with. Explain to these guys what in velvet means.
Basically, in velvet, it feels like velvet, but actually the metal is like rubber coated.
It's almost like that Duramat or Duramax or Duragrip they put on guns. It's a rubberized type finish. I mean, it's hard to explain what it feels like. I mean, it feels like rubber, and you think you could scratch it off, but you can't. You can't dig into it with your fingernails. Yeah. It's a neat innovation that they put on these bows.
Something I noticed about Mindy's edges, hers had the in velvet, but mine doesn't.
Yeah, well, this might be last year's model, possibly. That could be the difference.
Yeah, one thing I don't really like about the edge is right away the grips fell off.
Off the one that you've got.
Yeah.
Yep, the one that came from Gander Mountain.
Grips fell off.
But like I said, this could be last year's model, and it may have been sitting on the shelf for a while, so who knows. Actually, they were glued on rubber grips, whereas the Equalizer has wooden grips that are actually screwed into the bow, which makes a difference. That's the style that my Hoyt has. And something else I've noticed, too, and on both of them, is actually how thin the riser is. The risers are actually, on the edge is a lot thinner than the Equalizer, but the Equalizer is even thinner than the one I've got. So they're built for these youth and small-framed adults.
What do you mean? Where do you put the sights at?
Yeah, right through here, where your grip is, all the way up through here. But, I mean, especially in the grip area, at how thin that is. A lot of the older bows had thicker grips, and kids had a hard time getting their hands in the right position around those bows.
Yeah, a lot of the guys at the range like bigger grips, but I like the smaller ones.
Yeah, it forces that riser right into the pocket of your hand and right where it's supposed to be. I mean, it's just a good fit. So, and what I'm really excited about getting, hopefully here in the next week or so, is the Browning PSE bows that they're getting ready for us. So we're getting 2 bows from Browning. I believe, now I may be wrong on this, but I believe they're the Adrenaline and the Adrenaline Eclipse, if I'm not mistaken. So when we get those in, we're going to talk more about them.
But what, the Micromidas? I
don't think we're getting the Micromidas. I'm not sure, but if I'm not mistaken, it's the Adrenaline and the Eclipse. But what I want to do right now, as you remember last week, we brought you the interview about the Micro Midas 3 from Paul Penix of Browning PSE. And actually, I've got another interview with him that we're going to bring to you right now about the adrenaline. So here's Paul Penix from PSE Browning.
Now, next in the Browning line, Mike, is a Browning Micro Adrenaline. I got it right behind you here. Little upgraded cam. Has a nice Browning logo that is laser engraved on the cam. This is the new HX cam, and it's does have a timing mark that's laser engraved on it. This is a more aggressive cam. It doesn't have as benign a draw cycle as a Micro Midas. It's a little more aggressive, a little more performance. And this bow is, if your cameraman can take a good look at that, this is a machine riser with parallel limbs. This utilizes the same limb pocket, the same limb as the top Browning models. It has the same grip structure as our $850 top-end bows. 4 sight mounting holes, so depending on where the child will look through their peep sight, they can use the top set of holes or the bottom set of holes. Okay. So there's more adjustability as he grows and his face expands and that peep measurement gets higher, he'll want to use the top set of holes. Okay. The cool part is that when this kid goes on the 3D course, he's out with his buddies. He shows this to his friends. This looks just like Dad's bow, because it's engineered to be just like Dad's bow. It's engineered to have the performance, the adjustability, the aesthetics, the styling, and the shootability all wrapped up into one package. So this bow is whisper quiet, doesn't vibrate. It is at 27-inch drawn, 50-pound peak weight with a 250-grain arrow. This bow is 275 feet a second. That is smoking. That's for that draw length, yeah. and a bow that's this simple and easy to shoot and draw. That is smoking. And it's, to my knowledge, that is the most aggressive youth bow that there is in the world right now today. So it's a bow that a child has everything that our adult bows have, all the features, all the machine work, everything. The Micro Midas had a pocket that was actually built onto the bow. The bow was cast with that, and that's where the limb moves in and out of. This moves, the limb and the pocket stay married. The significance of that is there's no hysteresis or friction buildup, so there's no dynamic efficiency loss, so that arrow is getting all the energy that the bow is making and storing. And it just makes it more efficient, makes it shoot better, and besides having all the same features as our high-end adult bows, a kid's getting something that looks great and performs the same.
Now, what kind of adjustability as far as draw lengths and things of that nature do we have?
This has got 11 inches in it as well. Okay. So this has got the same type of adjustability as the Micro Midas 3, but it is in a more up-to-date 2008 package with that engineering and styling built right into it.
And adjustability is the same way with the same type of module system?
Exactly the same. Same type of module system. Top and bottom, A is the longest. You go through the alphabet, and each letter of the alphabet is 1 inch shorter. Some people look at this and they say, "Oh, that's a two-cam bow. Two-cam bow have timing issues. That's bad." Well, kind of. 20 years ago it was bad because we were moving and transitioning from the steel cable era of the archery industry to the synthetic cable. And back then we had a product called Spectra 2000, and it grew by the day. And if you set it in the hot sun, it would probably be a ½ inch longer than when you set it out there. And now we're using materials like 450, 450 plus, 452X, and you could tow a car with them, and they won't be an eighth of an inch longer than when you started towing that car. So timing issue on two-cam bows is a moot point in 2008. They've engineered that. Our textiles have come such a long way that timing is a bygone buzzword in the archery industry, if you will. And once the bow is timed, as long as these cams, these intercam modules are adjusted equal, the bow will never have a timing issue.
So you don't have to worry about string expansion, anything of that nature?
You'll get some, and it's so minuscule that it would be without some type of micro caliper type of measurement tool, it would be impossible to really look at it and see it. Okay. The next bow we have now, Mike, let me pause 1 second to tell you this is $269 retail price. This is available with a package. The components would be slightly upgraded from the Micro Midas 3, and the package price would be $389 for the package. So here again, something that's economical, affordable, keeps its value because of the adjustability, and there is no other youth bow in the archery world that we're in today in 2008 that has something with parallel limbs and the styling that this bow presents.
That's what caught my eye immediately, was a parallel limb package on it.
Absolutely. And that's that shootability and that feel and that whisper quiet, that's where most of that comes from. And so we got an aggressive, hard shooting bow that feels good and is quiet and is excellent for the field.
Okay. That was Paul Penix from PSE Browning. And like I said, we're anxiously awaiting the arrival of those two, the bows that we're expecting from them. And we get them in, we're going to put them through the paces, and we'll talk about them also. But
keep taking that equalizer from me.
I like the feel of it, man. It just fits my hand so well. So, and matter of fact, I'm in the market for a new bow. So I haven't revealed a whole lot of what's been going on lately, but starting July 1st, it will be official that I am going to become a regional pro staffer for Mossy Oak. And once that happens, actually it's already in the process, I have to obviously take care of everything Mossy Oak. And that means the Hoyt's on the block.
Yeah.
It's camoed in Realtree, and I'm going to be putting that to the side. I love the bow. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just not the right camo pattern. But that being said, the old Tricon is 3 years old now, and I'm ready to step into something a little different. So I may be getting a Bowtech. I may be getting a Browning. I don't know yet. But whatever it is, it will have Mossy Oak on it. And anxiously awaiting trying something new. I stepped into that Hoyt.
Yeah.
I bought it used last year, and it's treated me right. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with it.
I'm thinking you should look at some Matthews.
Well, that's a possibility also. There's also a possibility I may take the Hoyt, disassemble it, and have it dipped in Mossy Oak camo pattern. That's another option. It's ready for a string job right now, and if I got to put a new string on it, it's got to come apart. So maybe no better time than the present to actually take and have that thing dipped, and you know what, put it through its paces, and try that out as well, as something new, and putting two adult bows side by side that I can use. So, but I am really anxiously awaiting and looking forward to working with Mossy Oak at some of the shows, at some of the different events that they're going to put on here in the Michigan area. So that's something new for me, becoming part of their deal. And whatever I'm involved in with that, obviously it's going to become part of the podcast.
Yeah.
We're going to bring anything that's new and exciting to you guys. We may be getting some firsthand knowledge on some stuff that we can bring to you that you can look forward to. And they partner with about 20 different companies of different items, different manufacturers that we're going to be working with. And, if we learn anything about some new products that way, or new things that may be coming out that we can bring you. So it's going to be a win-win situation for me and for the listeners of the podcast. So it's going to be a cool deal. I'm really looking forward to that. So, but I didn't mean to jump in on your game bag. I kind of took over.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm going to take over this bow, too, I think. I like this.
They sent it to me.
Well, I know they sent it to you, but I don't know. I might fire a few arrows downrange with it. You never can tell.
Yeah.
You got to use the Hoyt today, so
Yeah.
maybe I'll use the Bowtech here once or twice.
That doesn't bother me. That's only fair.
You know what I look forward to, though? Is I look forward to taking a picture with you with your first deer with a bow this year with this bow. That would do me proud to see you take a deer with a bow this year. So, well, there you go. There's your bow back.
Thank you.
You better take it before I keep it.
Both of them.
So, well, anything else for game bag? Is that pretty much it for the week? That's a lot.
Yeah.
I think that's the longest game bag you've had.
Probably.
Looking forward to more of them coming up here. We're going to be talking more about it when we get the other bows in hand. So, now, one thing we didn't bring to you yet this week is news. I've only got really one item in news, and the only reason I'm bringing it up is I really want to crack on the state of New Jersey. We got a listener out there I know, and I'm not cracking on you personally, but I want to let everybody know. Recently, they canned the black bear hunts out there. They caved into pressure from the antis, and they caved in on it and said no black bear hunting. Well, one of the communities out there has 13 bears running around the community. They haven't done anything. They're just in the community. They're in the area. And the people are getting freaked out, and they want the bears removed. Well, duh. You don't hunt the bears. What are they going to do? They're going to multiply, and they're going to start moving into communities where there's more food. More bears means they need more food. If they need more food, they're going to be moving into areas where they can get access to it.
Pets.
Yeah, well, pets, food, garbage cans, what have you. 10 of the 13 are cubs, and the other 3 are adult females. So they've already got them pinpointed and kind of targeted, but the people are wanting them removed and moved outside the area.
Especially if some little kid tries going up to the mama's cubs. I could see something like that happening.
Well, that's what they're afraid of, somebody getting hurt. Getting between a cub and a mama bear and, all kinds of chaos breaking loose or somebody getting hurt, seriously. But, it just goes back to the fact population control is best managed by the fish and game departments who allow hunting to control populations. Now, if we get rid of hunting, you're going to have a population boom. And with population boom, they need food. If they need food, they're going to start going into areas that they're not normally accustomed to, which is usually where people are. So, good job, state of New Jersey. Hats off to you for canceling your bear hunt, and now you've got a bear problem. It's just, that's my give me a break of the week. It's just, you know what? It just goes to prove you get what you deserve. You didn't want a bear hunt? Well, now you got more bears. Congratulations. So,
this kind of reminds me, I'm not sure about that show Family Guy, but there's a thing on there he has called Really Grinds My Gears.
Yeah, this grinds your gears?
Yeah.
Well, it does. It really does. We see this happen time and time and time again, and then they wonder why it happens. Let the fish and game departments manage the wildlife. They're the ones that know how to do it best. They set the seasons, they set the bag limits, and usually they do a fairly decent job at it. You know what? They did a better job than the state legislature did by canning the bear hunt. So, like I said, they got what they deserved. I just hope nobody gets hurt. That's the one thing I really hope truly does not happen. So, but that's my one piece of news for the week. But now, moving along here, I do want to bring up, we talked earlier in the show about Chuck Parr joining the pro staff here at Up North Journal. And he is going to head up the waterfowl hunting segments and all that kind of stuff. And he, like I said, he's new to hunting. He's been in it for a little over a year now. But this cat has jumped in head first. And I love people like this because he is so excited and passionate and ambitious about what he's doing. And he was at the archery event with us a couple weeks back in Lansing over at the Gander Mountain store. And for whatever reason, actually you were tagging along with him that day.
Yeah, we were hanging out.
And they had a display set up by Delta Waterfowl. They were there in the area. And they had a booth and all that, and you guys talked to him. Well, Chuck has found out that in this area, the Genesee County, Livingston County, and Northern Oakland County area, there is no Delta Waterfowl chapter. For a couple counties surrounding even. It's quite a ways away for the nearest one. He said, hey, I want to start one. What do I have to do? Well, he's got the information. He's got everything ready to go. Now, guys, if you're in the mid-Michigan area and you're interested in helping start a waterfowl organization or becoming a member of one, Chuck Parr is heading up this discussion. It's on July 17th. There's not much time left. It's less than a month away. But on July 17th, which is a Thursday night at 7 o'clock at the Sherman Middle School in Holly, Michigan, in the cafeteria is going to be a Delta Waterfowl seminar, event, what have you, on getting a chapter started in this area. And the person that's going to be here is Scott Berg, who is the regional director for Delta Waterfowl here in Michigan. And the address of the school is 14470 North Holly Road in Holly, Michigan. And he said the talk will last about 35 minutes. He's going to talk about getting one started, chapter started, what it takes, what Delta Waterfowl can do for the chapter and do for the community. And they do a lot of outreach-type programs, getting kids involved, habitat-type missions where they go out and try to create or help along the habitat, and just a lot of neat, innovative ideas that they do there. So if you want more information on this event, or if you're unsure of where it's at, give us a shout here at the Up North Journal. Get a hold of me. My email address is michaeladams@upnorthjournal.com. And you can also reach Chuck Parr at chuckyd157 chuck@yahoo.com. That's Chuck, YD157 at yahoo.com. Or, like I said, you can email me here at the Up North Journal, and we'll make sure you get directions, the times, and exactly where it's at and all that, and all the pertinent information on how to get there. What were you going to say?
No, I was going to look at it.
Oh, I seen you reaching for the book like you was going to say something here.
No, when did you say it was, June?
July.
Okay.
July 17th.
That's still pretty far away.
Well, it's a little less than a month now. It's actually 4 weeks from last Thursday, so it's just a little under 4 weeks away. He's really excited about getting this chapter started, so if you're interested, by all means, get a hold of us or get a hold of Chuck and attend that event. I have a feeling it's going to turn into something big over there. I know he's working also with Archery in the Schools program over there in Holly and getting that started over there, so yeah, that's what I said. Chuck, he's jumping in head first, and he's got a lot of ambition, a lot of excitement and passion and energy, and he's putting it out there. And you know what? That's what we need. We need more sportsmen like him getting involved and helping kids, helping the community, and helping the wildlife and everything. So
it'd be cool if you got the archery in the schools, and when I start driving, switch to Holly schools. Yeah,
you go over there and hang out and shoot over there. We're trying to get that started over here in our school system. We didn't have much luck this year, but there was a principal change in the school. So hopefully the new principal, who we happen to know, will be a little more receptive to the idea, and we can get that started over here. So
one thing I wish that they could do about the archery in the schools, how they got them bows that they get. I wish you could bring in your own bows. Yeah, well, that's part of the problem with archery in the schools is actually bringing bows to the school or in the school or on school property. And, there's a lot of sticky issues with that. And that's just some things that we need to overcome and get those things worked out. How when kids used to take shotguns to school.
Yeah, back in the old days, they'd hunt on the way to school and the way home from school, and they'd get to school and they'd lean their shotgun up in the coat room in the back. We've heard stories about that at some of the old-timey schoolhouses here in the area. But, you got anything else this week?
Your boat.
The boat, yeah, you keep reminding me. I got to bring that up. We have a new addition to the family. No, we're not having any more kids. But I've been looking for a boat recently. Michael's 12-footer. As a family, we have outgrown quickly. And it's a constant battle of who do we get to take fishing with us. So I've recently started looking for a 14-foot aluminum deep V. And my brother-in-law actually found one he wanted and wanted me to buy his. And it's a perfect fit for our family. So I bought my brother-in-law's boat. It's got a nice little 15-horse Mercury motor on it. It's a 14-foot long deep V and trailer and the whole 9 yards. So Michael's got foul mouth, and I got foul mouth too.
Yeah.
So
when actually in 2 years when I start driving, it will be 2 years.
Yeah, about 2 years.
Actually, you can drive your boat and I can drive my boat. We can go over, fish on the same thing. You take everyone. Yeah, we'll be able to take buddies and family and the whole 9 yards. So, but yeah, I guess I actually bring it home last night. So that was the. Doesn't it have that Mercury on it? Yeah, a cool new little item we got here. So, looking forward to getting that out in the water here real soon. We got to go fishing last weekend, actually, the catfishing trip, and that was a lot of fun. But I couldn't take everybody, so that's one of the reasons we picked up this bigger boat. And come duck season, it's going to make it a lot easier for us to take everybody out that we need to take out. So, looking forward to that as well. But that's about all I got this week. You got anything else? No, I just want to shoot this tomorrow. Yeah, well, it's been a busy week. I'm tired and I'm wore out, but that's all good because we did a lot this week. Next week, I'm hoping to do a little more with the bows, start getting some of the stuff set up and ready to go. We're working heavy on the broadhead field test and review and range test. Are we doing it at the same time as we're doing the youth bow? I would like to get the kids out with the bows and kind of break this all open at the same time. Get them on the range, get them to shoot a little bit, and at the same time we kick off the broadhead review. Yeah. To do that also, and kind of get them coinciding at the same time, and let the kids get a feel for them and start shooting them a little bit. So yeah, that's my goal anyway. So we're going to see what happens with that, but the broadhead test that's only about 3 weeks away, so it's creeping up really fast.
I want to. Yeah, really. It's we're going to get a chronograph. We got to purchase a chronograph. We got to purchase some targets, and
are we getting 3Ds or bags?
I'm probably going to get some blocks. We're shooting broadheads. Got to get some blocks.
Okay.
Foam blocks, and
that way you can actually see the carnage.
Yeah. Well, we got some other tests that we're going to do on that also. And this actually might wind up being a 2-weekend test or a 2-day test because there's just so much that we want to do. We don't know if we're going to have enough time to fit it all in one day. So, and part of it's got to be done outside. Some of the things we want to do has got to be done outside on the range. The other range we're using is indoors. It's going to be a controlled environment. That way we can kind of keep things under control as far as windage and things of that. And we don't have to worry about those issues.
Didn't you actually have an idea about a windage test or something? Have like some shop fans or something?
Oh, we talked about doing that in the bow range, just to kind of throw some different variables at some of the shooting. So
and the sprinkler systems.
Yeah, like simulate some rain. Yeah, I'm sure they'd really appreciate that.
Yeah, drain in there.
So, but yeah, we're looking forward to all this. It's going to be a lot coming at us real quick, and it's going to be a fun summer. I can already see that. It's a lot of work, but we're gonna have a lot of fun with it. And the goose banding video that we shot yesterday, I'm hoping to really get that up on the internet really quick, as well as some more of the bow interviews. So you guys stay tuned to those to our Up North Journal television channel, and when those get up there, you can check those new videos out and shoot us some comments. If you like what you're seeing, or if you got some questions. If you got specific questions you want answered about youth bows, email us and let us know, and we will try to incorporate them into our testing and reviews. So with that being said, that's all I got this week. Anything else you want to add?
No, just looking at this bow.
Folks, next week when we come back to do the show, he'll be still sitting here looking at the bow probably. So
hopefully he can have a sight on it.
Yeah, we're going to try to get out and get some sights on him this week, hopefully, and start getting revved up for this thing. So with that being said, I think we're going to wrap up episode 64 and just call it a week here, and hopefully we'll have another action-packed, exciting week next week. Stay tuned on keep checking back on the website. We're adding things to that here, maybe not on a daily basis, but on a pretty consistent basis. Things are going to be updated, so keep checking on that as well, and hopefully there'll be some good things coming up there. So with that being said, as we always say here at the Up North Journal, if you're out on the water or in the woods, shoot straight, be safe until next week on the Up North Journal.